Welcome, everybody. This is Jan's Tai Chi to the People. I'm Coach Jan, and I'm happy to see you today. Today is going to be about timing, and about speed, and the perception, the difference between the two. Hey, Sam, what's going on? Got Sam coming in from the Philippines. Good to see you. And Sam, I was just letting everybody know that today we are doing a session that will focus on the concept of perceived speed. And perceived speed, I want to take a moment to talk about this, is really the difference between thinking that somebody is hitting you quickly and moving faster and them actually shortening the distance between decisions. And this is a really, really important concept because you can perceive it as, I'm getting hit faster. For example, I was sparring once with a pro boxer whose name escapes me. I will do my best to remember. I posted on Instagram years ago, but I remember, the guy was I was a push hands player walking into his ring here in Los Angeles, and I have some weight on him, so he's a lighter guy, and I'm moving him around fairly easily with some push hands concepts while we both have boxing gloves on. And I'm doing my best to be respectful because a buddy of mine invited me in. And I have no real reason that I want to hit this guy hard at all. So I'm just doing my best to be very, very respectful. And he did something so amazing. He kept it light, but because he couldn't move the way he normally moves, with me repositioning his body, he decided to change the distance between movements, meaning that he didn't actually swing harder or faster, but between his first punch and his second punch, if there was a second or a half second, he shortened that time. There was maybe a tenth of a second. And he used those touches on my face to then hide his steps. It seemed like it was happening faster, but I was really aware that the speed of his hand movement didn't change. And I just love that moment because he totally lit me up. He punched up my face. It was fantastic. And but I was just so aware of the difference between him moving faster and him shortening the distance between decisions. And my coach, Josh Waitzkin, on the U.S. Tai Chi Push Hands team, talked about something very, very similar. And that concept of shifting that distance, and the way that it was most easily perceived was previously with just the concept of timing a move properly. I think a lot of times with Tai Chi, we play, especially if you're not playing competitively and/or training specifically for timed movements, because there's a difference between sensitivity and rhythm. Like sensitivity can help you understand and hear rhythm, but it doesn't necessarily mean that because you are sensitive with your Tai Chi push hands practice, etc., that you're actually playing for timing. I know the majority of Tai Chi players I've experienced don't have a sense of timing. They have a sense of response, sensitivity and response, rather than timing. There's a bunch of martial artists that may not be as sensitive, that may have no idea what it means to stick to an opponent, but they have an understanding of timing because they have an understanding of rhythm. And those are two different types of sensitivity. So understanding timing and the difference, if you're a judo player, knowing that step, and then like breaking that rhythm between steps and doing the sweep, etc. Boxers, it's very, very different than following and sticking to an opponent, but both are super valuable. So shortening the distance between decisions is what we're going to focus on today, because that is such a key concept. And before I go any further, this is Tai Chi to the People, and anybody and everybody is always welcome at this training. I'm a little under the weather today, so we may keep it a little short, but that being said, this is a live on Zoom every Tuesday, and we record it. We put it out on YouTube so that anybody and everybody can continue to enjoy it and add to the library of Tai Chi mechanics that we are exploring here on Tai Chi to the people, and on my YouTube channel, Coach Jan Tai Chi. So you can always support the channel by either subscribing or liking or commenting or becoming a patron on my Patreon page, patreon.com/Jan's Tai Chi. So any patrons are always welcome, and they always help to make the channel better. And it really shows me, the support shows me that you guys want to see more videos, and I want to spend more time on this stuff and want to justify that with more followers on Patreon. So patreon.com/Jan's Tai Chi. And of course, Justice for Hire, the show that I'm producing that's on our app called Justice for Hire. If you go to justiceforhire.app, it's a show of martial arts cinematic universe, a whole bunch of martial artists on there making action scenes and creating storylines together in a shared story world, kind of like Marvel, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, except with characters that we play, and it's awesome. So check us out. That was really the inspiration to bring Tai Chi to the people back, was offering that to the Justice for Hire community. And of course, many Justice for Hire folks still watch this, which is fantastic. So justiceforhire.com to learn about Justice for Hire and our movement and the show, and justiceforhire.app to actually join the cast and create scenes. And Real World is my company, my technology company, producing all this stuff. And Real World, you can join us, learn about us from realworld.com. That's REELWURLD. And you can invest and own part of the company and our patent pending technology on wefunder.com/REELWURLD, Real World. So that being said, let's go and train a little bit. I'm in my editing today, actually, on some Real World Justice for Hire stuff. So I'm in the office, and we are going to do everything from here today. All right, so we'll start out with just a few breathing exercises, inhaling up, exhaling down. Oftentimes I'll do uplifting heaven the second I stand up. However, doing uplifting heaven, connecting to my breath work, moving my body mechanic, as wonderful as this is, I've just been sitting, I jumped up, but I didn't do the alignment exercise, yielded pillar. That alignment exercise helps me personally, in my experience, really soften the tailbone, really connect to the imaginary string lifting me up, removing the unnecessary tension. I can jump into a lot of movements, but have I actually taken the inventory, my checklist, going down the body? And some days I can instantly jump into that, or so I should say, some days better than others. But I really think that if you have the opportunity, take the moment, take the minute or two, find that imaginary string, feel the relaxation cascade down the spine. You don't need to do this with your hands. I'm doing my best to just paint, and eventually I'll use more graphics to paint the direction of the relaxation. It's just washing down. As the tailbone drops, the hips, the pelvis becomes like a bowl of water. So you'll feel that it kind of sink into a position. A bowl of water full to the brim. You don't want to spill it in any direction. So keep it balanced. Soften the knees so the weight shifts mostly to the heels. And the feet are parallel. So if they're out, you want to make them parallel, shoulder width apart. That center line awareness that you have pulling from the imaginary string above the head, you want to feel the alignment, that your nose and the center of the heart space, right here on the sternum, all aligned forward. And you can feel that forward energy, everything going forward. This is very, very important as a key concept when you start to spar. And notice that my heart is turned this way. So my heart's turned this way, but my nose is here. And so I can feel my deviation and my alignment. So anytime you have a deviation from this line, but you also keep your eye line in a particular, and you put the eye line in any particular direction, you want to make sure that you're aware of the separation of these 2 points, the separation of these 2 points. Notice how the rest of my body goes. Sometimes the rest of my body won't go. Sometimes my hips will stay, but my upper body will move, but my nose will stay. So just being able to be aware when you deviate from this line, because that'll help you snap back into place. And when I say snap back into place, it's a natural sensation. The body naturally wants to come back to this point of equilibrium. And you want to use that natural desire from the body to help increase the momentum, the speed, the torque, all the power of any particular movement. The second you deviate, allow the body to whip back into place, and then maybe you add on top of that natural desire, that natural movement, your own added force. And that helps, in my experience, in the way I play push hands, that helps me minimize my energy, but also my energy expenditure while using the natural twists and turns and weight of my body to seem like I'm stronger than I appear. So, which I am, but we all are if we're training Tai Chi, and that's the point. So, palms facing flat down, special attention to the middle finger of each hand. Tongue on the ceiling of the mouth closed. And inhale, draw the color, the breath adds a color into the belly. In other words, see that color expanding in the belly. More specifically, 3 finger lengths below the belly button. The second chakra, the lower dantian, as it's called. Inhaling deep, see the color. You want the whole belly to inflate. Exhale, push it down the arms to the palms and fingertips. For more advanced breathers, you want the belly, the obliques, and the lower back to expand all at the same time. So that means not just the belly, but the entire waist like a bell expanding out. When you exhale, push that color from the belly down the arms to the palms and fingertips. And when you push it out, about an inch or two beyond, you really want the awareness, the mind. Remember, we're using this color as a vehicle for the attention. So when you push it out, it goes a bit beyond the hand, an inch or two. My father always told me as a little kid, about an inch or two. But eventually you want to just start to be able to push that much farther down out of the hand. And soften. And now uplifting heaven again, 2 times. Inhaling out, exhaling out. Inhaling out, exhaling down. Inhaling out, exhaling down. Again, even deeper. Exhaling down. Inhaling out, exhaling down. Always doing our warm-ups, because the warm-ups are super important. If you are in need of time and only have a bit, just fast forward to the exercises that we'll be exploring. Exhaling down. Dragon lifts his head. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Remember, we are in a half horse stance right now. Inhaling up, exhaling down. One more. Eyes in the belly button, exhale down. And reverse. The breath should feel like a rope that you're climbing. Climbing, climbing, climbing. Exhale, pushing that color out. Pulling the color back in. Exhaling. So, shortening the distance between movements. There's one move in Wu style Tai Chi that I was very surprised when my Sifu Keith Tong showed it to us, because it was bridging. I could feel it bridging into a whole new world of thinking, and I shouldn't have been surprised, because he exposed me and my father and all my Tai Chi uncles to so much. So I want to talk about brush knee for a second. So turning, this is Wu style, but you'll get the concept no matter what style of Tai Chi you do. So let me just adjust this camera so you can get a little more of my body. So I have my Wu style stance, which means my weighted leg is going to have my toes forward, and my other leg is forward in front of me, minimal weight. I have my play guitar or my 7-star position, depending on what you call it, with my middle finger in front of my nose. My shoulder blades are pushed forward and I'm seated. So my shoulder blades are open, but shoulders are not up. They're just shoulder blades are forward, which gives me distance between the elbow and the rib, increases circulation to the fingertips, and helps me keep my arms like blades. My elbows are down rather than out. This is a little bit different than if you do the same exact posture in, let's say, William C.C. Chen's reverse breathing Tai Chi form, which is here, but the concept is there's wind beneath the wings, meaning that the triceps are slightly inflated to have the space between the rib cage and the elbow. Very different, and the concept there has a different application as well. There are multiple applications to any one of these movements, but the overt applications to William C.C. Chen's 7-star play guitar position and the Wu style 7-star play guitar position are very different in my experience. So Wu style focused right now. First, redirect, palm, pushing it aside. And now this is us taking someone's pressure and moving it aside. In our push hands exercise, in the Wu style push hands exercise, you'll see this a lot. The 2 push, 2 redirect, 2 roll back. So we're 1, and then we turn out and push 2. I'm going to go over this again. This is direct from the beginning of the Wu style form. I pull back and up with my hip. So inhale up, even deeper, sitting. Notice that one hand's falling down with the hip, elbow dropping, and then I'm back in my play guitar position. Inhaling even deeper, turning the waist, nose, elbow, wall, for my position, and then exhale, pushing forward. If you remember in previous videos, I talked about the concept of connecting that lower hand, which Josh Waits can help me find in my own form, and gave me some great constructive criticism. So as I push, this hand is energized, my bottom hand, reaching through the index, middle finger, and thumb, with special emphasis on the middle finger of each hand, right here. Exhaling, pushing through. My exhalation is on my wrist, and my eye is on the middle finger of the top hand. Notice this entire bridge here, which helps you push into an opponent and roll the pressure, keeping a point of origin pressure wherever the contact is on the opponent. And now inhaling up, stepping forward, just shifting so you can see minimal space in this room. Inhaling up, lifting the foot and the hand at the same time. Another play guitar. And I turn, now I have my right hand forward, waist, nose, elbow, wall. Once I see nose, elbow, wall, I know I'm in position, and I exhale, pushing off the back leg into the front. Now here's where it changes. For years, Sifu Kiptong did not do this in our form. His form evolved just like Grandmaster Wayne C.C. Chen's form evolved over time, because as teachers, as practitioners, as students, we're always evolving our form. So inhaling up, now the 4th push, the 4th brush knee. The 4th brush knee, instead of turning and pushing forward, instead of doing that, what you'll do is turn and move forward at the same time. And this is the key for today's theme. Turning and moving forward at the same time breaks the rhythm, the established data set. So each time before, we turned and then we pushed off the back leg into the front. For this final time, switching legs just to rewind one move. We're coming up, forward, and shifting as we turn. So we're claiming the space on our opponent as we redirect them. That's a profound concept, absolutely profound concept. And exhale, pushing with the brush knee. So notice that we took out certain movements. We took out one beat, and that shortened the timing, shortened the distance between an execution or what the overt execution of a particular move. So it seems like we're going for the press here, but what really happens, and when you use this exact technique in push hands, and when I say in push hands, I'm talking about in very controlled Wu style, the 4-move push hand set, the 2 push, 2 redirect push hand set that you'll see on my YouTube channel, as taught by Guiton. When you use this in that set, roll back, push, push, roll back, double press, and then press and brush the belly. I'm just changing my position so you can see. So double press and the belly. 1, and now 2. Look at that. So here I did the same thing. Rather than staying with the roll back on my redirection of the palm, I take space. This is one example. Here we go again. Just one example. This is the normal. Roll back twice, push and push again. Roll back, push and push again. I'm just demonstrating push hands without a partner right now in this very simple but very valuable push hands drill. And now I'm going to break the rhythm. 1 and 2, I'm coming forward already. So I'm still allowing the opponent's pressure to go past me. But what I'm doing while the opponent's pressure is going past me is I'm taking space. I'm taking space on one side of them. So rather than allow it to go past me all the way and then push, I'm letting it go past me as I shift forward. So now the opponent's pressure is here. I've passed them here rather than allowing them to simply pass here as I go back. They're going past me as I come over here. And now that's the same concept as in this brush knee here, where instead of doing the roll back and push off the back leg, we're doing the roll, we're doing the pung by coming forward. The pressure still goes off of you, but you're claiming space at the same time. So to do that, you have to have an understanding of the sensitivity, but you also have to have an understanding of the rhythm. Remember that the rhythm is math. I think it's just so important that any song you listen to, if you're, let's say you break a song down into 4 beats and you're cutting, your move is going to be, all you're doing is cutting a beat in half. And now that is a very general statement, meaning that the cutting the beat in half, if the rhythm is this, and you just cut it in half, well, you may have to cut it into a smaller chunk or a slightly larger chunk than half. But what I'm getting at is that you're shortening the distance, and you're shortening the expectation, excuse the Los Angeles cityscape, but you're shortening the expectation, the distance between the expectations of your opponent. And by doing that, that is how you're getting them off guard. And it's just such an important concept. It's so important because now we're starting to take the idea of Tai Chi and flowing, which can be misunderstood from my perspective as, oh, I'm just following the opponent. I'm following whatever they do. And recognizing that you as a being with willpower can impose and do impose, and at times should impose your willpower on another practitioner. So it's very, very important to, from my perspective, to consistently refine the ability to be able to impose that willpower and through time. So let's talk about this in other instances. So now let's go into a freestyle push hands position, which is just a freestyle grappling position, the 50-50 clinch. Now the 50-50 clinch here, if you're a Wu style practitioner, I highly recommend doing your embracing the one, which is the second exercise, I had to think about it, from the yin set, 12 yin set of Nagel. So I always say, and I say this because of my direct experience, if I'm in my embracing the one posture, this is the first posture that I really understood self-defense from. Because this embracing the one posture is your hands keeping mid-range distance from an opponent. Now, just look what I just did here. I'm holding my embracing the one. I'm going to step one leg back into a front stance. And now I have my 50-50 clinch position. So all I did was do my Neigong exercise and take a step back. If I continue to refine a bit more, I soften into the groin. I soften to the crease of the front leg a little bit more. And now I'm even more precise and more realistic. Now I'm even more professional with my front stance against an opponent. Because you don't want to have your hips square, you want to soften into one side and have that range of closing in and opening up, closing in and opening up, but I still have my embracing the one kind of posture. And remember, the hands in Wu style especially are aiming at the opponent's elbows. So I always felt incredibly safe. And it was that safety that allowed me the comfort, the level of comfort to experiment with a lot of these ideas that helped me become more of an expert in certain techniques. And so I'm very, very grateful for embracing the one. I highly recommend it. That's a tangent. But here we go. Let's go into this timing concept. So now we're in our posture ready for the 50-50 clinch. And that means that when another partner comes to me with their right leg forward, or if I have my left leg forward, their left leg forward, one arm is likely going to go in the pocket of my other arm, and their arm will probably, the outside arm, back arm will likely be on my elbow or somewhere around here. So one inside, one outside, 50-50 clinch for each partner. So if you're in this posture, this 50-50 clinch, whether you're in mid-range, more specifically, once you break in mid-range, you're actually shoulder to shoulder. This is where the timing exercise is going to come in. This timing exercise is right here. Shoulder rolling. Now, the shoulder rolling can look like this. I don't recommend just doing that. I recommend a full body power shoulder roll. And that doesn't mean force, a lot of force. That means fully connected, everything moving at once. And we're going to use this exercise to help set and establish a rhythm. That means that, boom, right there. Inhaling up, exhaling down. I'm going to do it even more subtle. Inhaling up, exhaling down. I'm pushing my shoulder, and my entire body is working here. I'm pushing my shoulder into the opponent's chest and shoulder. More specifically, if I'm shoulder to shoulder with them, one of the things that I might want to do is either push their shoulder with my shoulder to get their body to snap back so that I can establish a rhythm. I want to establish a rhythm for them, especially if it's unconscious. So notice that my body's turning back. If you're shoulder to shoulder with someone, if you push them a little bit, they're going to want to come back. So you're going to press them, they're going to come back. You're going to press them again, they're going to come back. Now you have your data set. And so in between that rhythm that you've established, if it's 1, 2, 1, 2, you're going to cut, again, this is general, cut that time in half to execute your next move. So that could mean 1, 2, 1, 2, step behind them and throw, meaning step behind them with the front leg. You would have to practice. You drill this kind of stuff. You don't just do it. You don't just hear me talk about it or see someone do it and then do it on your own. Like, you have to absolutely drill this on your own several times to execute this on a partner. And you should drill it with a partner who knows. So both of you are drilling it. 1, 2, 1, step around and hip toss. You can just roll over the leg and turn them. This is, again, just a concept, just a single drill to explore the concept, which applies to literally any move, any set of moves and combinations. So it's very, very important for me to emphasize that this is not the only way you can train this. So shifting to the other side, just so we can see both sides. So on my left shoulder, I'm pushing out. So I'm exhaling from the belly, letting it come up my spine through my shoulder. I'm pushing the shoulder blade forward, not just the shoulder itself, but I'm really emphasizing the distance, softening the shoulder blade and having it go forward, because I'll get more strength and a greater sense of stability in the shoulder itself as a joint by pushing the shoulder blade forward, rather than disconnecting and overemphasizing the muscles in the front of my arm and pushing just the shoulder forward. So you want to really move from here rather than from up here. And you want this move from here to be generated by the breath here and to be counterbalanced by the distribution of weight and the movement of your hips in relation to the crease in the groin. I just gave a lot of data there, but all that means is full body power. As I push forward, my weight is shifting from heel, ball the foot to ball the foot, big toe. So my emphasis right now is on heel, ball the foot when I'm rested. When I want to engage my partner, and this goes for almost any move that I do in push hands, in freestyle grappling, I'll shift my weight slightly to the ball of the foot and the big toe and emphasize that to get a more forward pressure. As I do that, the shoulder blade, of course, is connected, pushing the shoulder forward so I can make sure that this shoulder movement, notice that it's all happening here. Look at my back hip, look at the spinning of the hip, and it's all exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, dropping down, inhale, exhale, dropping down. So however you coordinate the breathing, but as long as you have that catalyzing breath, very, very important. And you create that rhythm. And once you establish it, then you're going to decide when to cut in between that beat. And that's why having a partner to drill this kind of stuff with is so important. Just so you can drill this step at home. Here we go. It's as simple as shifting your weight back for a second and drawing a half moon around with your foot. So you're going to take their leg is probably going to be here. Your leg is on the inside. You're going to have to get your leg around them and step to the outside. So I do recommend drawing that line, shifting the weight back for a second, drawing the line. However, in that, there's a lot of finesse that's gonna have to go into that shifting of the weight. So that finesse move is a subject for another video. I want to stay more focused on timing, on the concept of timing. And now let's break this down to another exercise with the hip. These are very, very basic concepts. And the hip, pushing with the hip. In the same way, pushing with the hip. If you do judo, if you've ever done judo, you might know pulling the opponent's jacket and lifting with the chest, or shifting the hip in, pulling with the opponent's jacket. We're not going to overemphasize the pulling, meaning the tension in your upper back. We're not going to do that for this Tai Chi concept exercise. I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm saying that is it's its own technique. It's a powerful technique, and do that, leave that as its own thing, and let's work this one idea. So I have my hip forward. I have the majority of my weight is still on my front leg. To talk about that concept, I'm still going from heel, ball to foot to ball to foot, big toe emphasis if I'm pushing my hip forward. That's to help protect my kneecap, because I want my big toe aligned with my front kneecap, so that when I open, if I find myself opening and pushing the hip in to my opponent, I have more stability here on this leg, rather than keeping the weight on the heel and pushing and bending the kneecap. Notice that if I keep my weight mostly, super important note actually for your own safety. So if I keep my weight, if I do this exercise, which is pushing my hip into the opponent, same concept as the shoulder, except now we're playing with hip. So if I push my hip into the opponent, but I emphasize the heel, maybe the ball of foot, and not the big toe, notice what's going to happen. My kneecap is going to move. You see this white bar on this table behind me. So just watch my kneecap move out of the way. So that actually puts undue pressure on the kneecap. And if you get a surprise from your opponent, which means, and you will, you're going to get pressure back from your opponent, it's going to blast down into that leg, and it's going to go unevenly through the kneecap, which is not, you don't want that. It's not going to feel good, especially over time. So you want to preserve and have as much intentional pressure as possible. Even if it's unexpected from the opponent, you can take whatever unexpected pressure and push it down intentionally down the leg, past the kneecap, down the ankles, into the heels, into the ground, into the balls of the big toe, distribute it as you want. So here, I recommend when you're pushing the hip forward to shift the weight to the ball of the foot and the big toe again to help you keep that stabilized. So now, look here. If I keep it on the heel, boom, too much. If I keep it on the ball, foot, big toe, boom. Same extension, more strength here. Boom, same extension, more strength. Now, if I know that the opponent's gonna blast me for some reason, this is another very unique detail, meaning that it's a unique situation that may pop up. You may want to push here or push up and pivot the back heel. So my back heel is pivoted right here, as if I'm throwing a hook. Boom. That's another way to do it, but you're not going to have the same sense of authority. And when I say authority, I mean your opponent. Authority is a primal sense. What I mean by that is that people, when you walk into a room, we've talked about this in the past, the difference between your weight on your heels and the weight on the ball of the big toe. One is passive, one is aggressive. When you're playing with an opponent and they can feel your strength in a moment, in a particular area unconsciously, or your lack thereof, especially with more sensitive opponents. Everyone is going to experience it. It just depends on whether or not, how deeply and consciously they are, the subconscious is going to affect the conscious mind. And you want to affect the conscious mind of your opponent intentionally, and the subconscious. So here I recommend, if you are working on keeping and maintaining space, keep that way in the ball, foot, big toe. And timing wise, exhaling, pushing the hip, softening down. Remember, we're still in the 50-50 clinch. So you may push against the opponent just to get them to sink down, and then you sink, and then you might push them again, and then they sink. In the same way, you might set up a hip toss here. And instead of the stepping to the outside of the leg and tossing over the hip, you might spin on the inside and throw them over your hip. So load them up and throw. Again, I talked about that concept a bit last week because we were talking about breaking the opponent with various structural postures using this L shape, which was an awesome and unique lesson that we did last week. So let's switch to the other side and let's just talk about create the rhythm with the hip and drop down. All we want to do when you create the rhythm with the hip is to get the blade of the hip bone right here on either side, to push into the opponent. You can also practice your own flexibility, because if you're a Tai Chi practitioner, it doesn't matter what practice you've done. Judo has some of the best hip flexibility exercises for tossing and for using the hip as a weapon that I've ever experienced. Very, very unique, because it's less about the flexibility of your legs in relation to your hip and more about the flexibility of the hip itself. And oftentimes this same move can be used as a hip check, meaning someone steps in front of you to throw you over their leg. And what you do is you sink and you check it. So the hip check is very, very important. If you don't already know that, it's great. And if you need to train your own hip flexibility, I just recommend this exercise, and we'll go back into the timing in a moment. Put your hands on a wall, put your hands on a surface of any kind, and all you're gonna do is you're gonna move in, turning your hip to the side, and then face it. Move in, turn your hip to the side, and face it. And you'll start to jump in and come out. Jump in and out, jump in and out. And the hands are gonna stay stationary. I'll use this chair as another example. The hands are gonna stay stationary, but the hip is going to turn. And so you're really loosening and emphasizing this blade shooting in, turning, and coming out. And then you'll switch sides. I'm gonna keep my hands here. You'll shoot in, come out, shoot in, come out. You can grab a tree, just place your hands on it, and it's wonderful. So this exercise, jumping in, get your heart rate up, get a little sweat in. I recommend doing it 25 times each side, 50 times, 100 times. Really start to loosen here to get just the hip movement, and then bring all of that warmed up awareness to this exercise. And push, sink down. Push again, sink down. Push, sink, and turn over. And you really can just suck the opponent in and step to get that rhythm. All we're doing is working on the concepts here. Now, let's bring this to a practical striking concept. So now we're going to keep our hands here. And this is back to the original story I was talking about. When I was fighting with this one fellow, I think he was 150 pounds. I walk around at about 174. I used to compete at 165, and then I started competing at 174. So I would like to compete at 180, 185, but we'll see. Anyway, so inhale, exhale. So I'm going to inhale up, exhale down. So the difference between moving faster, this is me moving faster. Let's keep it slow. And let's add the hook. Jab, cross, hook. Jab, cross, hook. Jab, cross, hook. So, when you want to start moving faster or to be perceived to be moving faster, one of the things that can be done is shortening the distance between the decisions. So there's a difference again between moving faster with the arms and shortening the distance and changing lessening the time between different decisions. I'm going to drop my hip a bit faster. I'm going to drop my hip earlier, not necessarily moving physically faster, but I'm going to give less time between this moment and my hook. So each move, 1, 2, 3, has its own body mechanic. On my jab, I'm inhaling and expanding upward. On my cross, I'm exhaling and I'm sinking forward. And then on my hook, I'm dropping and shifting to my back leg. I'm going to lower the camera a little bit so we can get some more of the details in here. So everyone throws this stuff a little bit differently, but this is the mechanics I practice. Inhaling up, exhaling down, exhaling, shifting to the, if I turn my weight on the back leg, this is how I'll do it. I'm going from the front leg, shifting to the back for that hook. And then reset. Inhaling up, exhaling down, exhaling down. Inhaling up, exhaling down. So, if I change the mechanics similar to that Wu style exercise, where instead of rolling back, I keep claiming the space, maybe here on my, when I'm about to throw my hook, I just drop down, but I don't go to my back leg. So now, if I've established me shifting to the back leg, I'm doing the same mechanic, but I've stayed on my front leg. And that fraction of a second that doesn't cost me to pull back makes everything seem tighter. Makes everything seem shorter. And this is a loaded, if you throw left hooks, lead hand hooks, without pivoting your front leg, a lot of times they'll feel loaded and heavy. And it's some people throw them and turn, and they turn to the back leg. Some will lean onto that front leg. So here, rather than here. So all we did, and notice that it's really the big difference in timing is my ability to reset. So I'm doing the same speed, but since I don't have to close this distance to reset, it seems like I'm throwing it faster. So now we've broken the rhythm of the combination. The combination seems like it's faster rather than longer because of that big, very obvious long load here. Again, all we did was remove part of the mechanic. We didn't speed up the body itself. But when you've established a certain rhythm with an opponent, and that's the big takeaway for today and the big theme, if you establish a particular rhythm, it's really not just in fighting, but in conversation, in, I'm editing a video right now. That is a core component of communication overall, whether it's visual or audio, interrelationships, interpersonal relations, establishing the rhythm and then changing the rhythm is going to make things, make an impact. So the more strategically you can do this, the better, and I highly recommend it to bring this into your Tai Chi practice and find the moves that you might be able to experiment with this on. If you're a Wu style practitioner, here's another place to experiment with this on, is right before the back fist. Or should I say, there's multiple variations of the back fist. And also where else? Yeah, let's just focus on that. So here you have finding the needle at the bottom of the C, stepping forward, turning, eye on the middle finger, exhale the hand, maintaining distance. You're actually creating space between you and the opponent. And so just before the backhand, actually just after the backhand as well, two variations. One has a stretch around and this wonderful underhook right here. This, it looks like it's a punch to the gut. They roll around. Many applications here, and then the back fist. Exhale, roll. So I always do both variations, and for any parts of my Wu style form, and all my forms, I do ask to incorporate the variations into the form if I know both of them to be practical, because I don't want to lose one or the for the other. So here I'll do this first variation, and again, this is also this movement is in almost every Tai Chi form I've experienced, and then the back fist. But I'll also do this variation here and drop straight down and across. So notice the only thing I cut out, I didn't move any faster. I cut out the extra load. So this extra load is great for moments when you're, I adapt almost everything for grappling. So there are times where I have to go around, I may have a tall opponent, I have to whip my hand around and hook their arm from the outside. So I get the overhook and step around to get some leverage, a leverage point. And so this move is amazing for opening up the hip and the rib cage and really getting that connectivity, that awareness, and that stability that you need when you're grappling with, when I'm grappling with taller opponents, or super strong. It might be stocky, but really strong. And I might have to whip around bigger muscles. And it's great. But this short one is just super efficient right here. So whether you do the big one or you just come right down and across, and then of course you have a second one that's always happening on this side. It's fantastic. So I recommend bringing this into your form. What are some other places this happens? It happens in the four corners. It happens in even the shadow punch. There are so many different variations of finding the timing in your form, and I'm happy to explore more of them. But like I said, today I am a bit under the weather, so I do want to stretch up. And Sam, before we stretch up, any questions or ideas on what we've discussed today?
Well, I can I'll show you my version of that one.
Please, yeah.
So technically, we're from here. We'll do this. We'll do this.
Mm-hmm.
Then hook. Then from here, my hands. I'm not sure what we're doing like this one, closing like this one. It's like I'm closing my fist, and then do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So from here, you can do this. Yeah.
Interesting.
I didn't correct any. I didn't I call this correct the movement. So from here. So from here, you always do this. I'm not sure what is this. So from here, you can do this, and from here. You got that?
That's
so
beautiful.
like this one. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the function. Why?
You know, thank you for sharing that. I think it's you know, I love. I really think that there are so many. It doesn't matter what you do, and it doesn't matter what Tai Chi form you do, and it actually doesn't matter what martial arts you do. Like if you can connect to the core of breath work and visualization and body mechanic, then I love what you just showed, and like it's I'm looking at what can this be for me with my experience. You know, like I'm like, okay, interesting. Well, you know, when I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, etc., or if I do judo and I'm grabbing, let's say, either a lapel or a sleeve, like all of that is super helpful in being able to manipulate the fabric, and is very, very practical, and especially taking a Tai Chi approach to any of these positions, because people might think that, oh, it's if you grab, it's not Tai Chi. That's completely untrue. It's just a matter of how you approach the grab, because Tai Chi is really an approach rather than a martial art. It's a system of how to approach martial arts, etc. And I think that's awesome. And even like seeing you do the back fist rather than the back fist here and pressing out, the back fist seemed like the one you were doing, correct me if I'm wrong, is a little bit tighter. And that tighter back fist creates a significant amount of torque right there. Yeah, right. Yeah, like from one to the other. From my perspective, those are wonderful rolls against joints, and I just love it. So, you know, however, the intention here is to take these concepts and bring them into your style. So,
breaking it down, maybe turn it right side, left side, breaking it down so that I can understand what we're doing.
Well, I will say, like, this is rolling. If you have a position and you have another hand on an elbow, so one hand on wrist and one hand on your opponent's elbow, this posture, again, all these things can be so many different. I could take a cloth. You know, I have a cloth here, and this could be the opponent's wrist in my hand, and this could be the opponent's elbow. And if I'm rolling that here, rolling around, rolling this down, like all of that is super important, because the opponent oftentimes, whether or not you're attempting to break the arm, but as long as you make it uncomfortable, a lot of Tai Chi, again, in my experience, is setting your opponent up to manipulate them based on them being uncomfortable. And that discomfort is not brute force discomfort like you're squeezing someone. It's very soft, gentle manipulations to get someone into a position where they want to get out of. And then you put them into another position that might be harder to get out of, and harder and harder and harder, very similar to jiu-jitsu. So I think that, thank you for sharing that. And I'm going to be thinking about that tonight. And all these exercises, guys, anybody who watches these, you know, please feel free to put in your thoughts, ideas, and always, if you ever want to shoot a video and just drop it in the comments, I'm always open to looking at this stuff and making sure that we always talk about making our Tai Chi to the people a discourse for exploring multiple ways to get to the same goal, which is self-victory and a lot of goodwill to the world. So thank you so much, Sam. Well, let's stretch up on that note. Uplifting heaven. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. And stretching. Reach with the fingertips and the shoulder blades. Inhaling, exhaling. And even in your stretching, we can bring the theme of timing. Don't Don't speed up, but just start to move. Step while you're doing your stretches here. I'm reaching out or reaching across, but start moving as if you're sparring and start feeling how changing your footwork changes the timing of your hands getting to a particular destination. Just changing the footwork makes it seem like your hands gets your hands there in less time, but you're not moving faster with your hands. You're changing another mechanic. So you're not adding any more tension. All you're doing is taking space and shifting weight, taking space, and shortening the distance between decisions. And reaching across, reaching up, reaching over. Inhale, exhaling, inhale, exhale, and reaching behind. Inhale, one hand behind, exhale. Inhale, up, exhale. And spin the fingers back. Inhale, open the rib cage. The rib cage should feel just like the fingers. The fingers are open, the rib cage opens. Exhale, collapse the chest. Inhale, open the rib cage. And exhale, the thumbs spin down. The shoulders roll. One more time, inhaling up. Exhale. From here, collapse. One hand's going to spin open. Inhale, open the chest. Other hand stays still. Exhale, and they switch. Inhale, exhale. Notice that my feet stay parallel, shoulder width apart. And now we're going to switch the breathing. Inhale on the other side, exhale. And the fingers are reaching in either direction intensely as you spin. So you're twisting and reaching out. So not just twisting, but reaching. And exhale, pushing the butt back. Elbows in front of the nose, just elbows on top of each other in front of the nose, fingers reaching back. Inhale, open, hips forward, chest forward. Exhale, switch the arms, opposite elbow on top, reaching the fingers back, and the tailbone goes back. Inhale up, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And hands forward. Inhale deep. Exhaling down. Fingers to the back wall, chest up, hips forward, wiggle the toes. Exhale, butt back, fingers forward, touch the toes. Soften the knees. Inhaling out, fingers, chest, hips, toes. Exhaling, butt back, fingers forward. Inhaling out. And one foot is going to go forward, weight on the back leg. Exhale down, touch the toe. Inhaling up, switch legs. Exhaling down. Inhaling up, 45 degrees. Inhale up, exhaling down, 45. Inhale up, switch legs, 90 degrees. Exhale down. Inhaling up, switch legs, exhale down. Inhaling up on the toes. Exhale down the legs. And chop up. On the side, down the outside. Inside, down the outside. On the shoulders. And flicking the fingers out. Thumbs. Pressure on the center of the palm and drill 1, 2, 3, tap around. Second circle bigger. Third circle biggest. Top and bottom thumbs and sides. Top and bottom and sides. Top and bottom and sides. Top and bottom. Thumbs. Top and bottom and sides. And press and hold on the other palm and drill 1, 2, 3. Tap around. Second circle bigger. Third circle biggest. Top and bottom and sides. Top and bottom, sides, top and bottom, sides, top, side, top. And 1, 2, 3, and grab 1, 2, relax 3, and flat. You squeeze and then you relax. Really, almost like you're doing a snatch. There's a sudden flex and relax. And closing the eyes, inhale, white line to the belly. Spread it to the whole body with the sound. Let the sound wash the bone marrow. And inhale up the front of the body, white light. Exhale down the back. Inhale up the left side. Exhale down the right side. Inhale to the belly. Push the light down the legs, up and around, let it reverberate through your environment. One more, white line to the belly. Push it to the top of the head like a fountain, like connect. Make a big bubble of light around you. Have gratitude for the body, the space you're in, the good people around you. Thank you, as usual. Thank you, Sam, for being here. And thank you, everybody who watches. And once again, this is Tai Chi to the People. It's open to everybody Tuesdays, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Join from anywhere in the world. Sam's joining from the Philippines. Mark's there in LA. Some people come from New York. It's great. So we love you guys. If you want to support the channel, subscribe, put comments. You can also join on as a patron on patreon.com/JansTaiChi and support the channel and for even greater production quality in the videos, and justiceforhire.com. Check out our show. And if you want to join the cast as a martial artist, as a hero, a villain, as a client that hires them, come and join the fun. And realworld.com, learn about the patent pending technology that's powering our show that we're producing with the global community. So you can always invest on wefunder.com/realworld, and that's REELWURLD to become part of our cinematic social network. Okay, love you guys, and thank you so much, and talk soon. Sam, so good to see you, man. Have a great day. Oh.